everyone, my name is Joshua Arce of Joshua Reviews, and as you can see by the title and thumbnail, we are going to be going over Warner Brothers Discovery's Plan B if the DCU doesn't succeed. Okay, so, it has been going everywhere, all over the place, that Warner Brothers Discovery are going to be using the Reverse as their Plan B if the DCU doesn't succeed. Guys, how do people not know this by now? The Batman made somewhat of a profit. They announced the Penguin show. People got excited for that. They announced the Batman Part 2. And I'm assuming, if that does well, there's going to be a Batman Part 3. It's pretty obvious. But I think this is starting to become their Plan A now. Guys, The Flash is the biggest flop at the box office in, superhero movie history. It's literally making history on how bad it's doing. It just crossed $100 million domestically. Do you guys know how bad that is? That is unbelievably bad. That is history-making bad. And listen, the movie was mid. It was the most middest thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay? It had Justice League humor. The third act was thrown together. There were multiple plot holes. Minor spoilers for The Flash. Or big spoilers. Whatever. When younger Barry dies, our Barry doesn't get affected at all. Yet earlier in the movie, Barry was explaining our Barry, by just losing his speed, he could be erased from the timeline. Do you guys know how stupid that sounds? Do ya? I don't think you do. It's a major plot hole in that movie that no one really seems to talk about as much. And by the way, the Dark Flash was not needed. What we needed was Thomas Wayne and the Reverse Flash. Did we get either of those? No. Instead, they used the nostalgia factor and brought back Michael Keaton's Batman. The movie still did poorly. They did this really confusing villain that no one's heard of before because it's not even a real villain from the comics. Dark Flash. It was basically like Savitar, but worse. Anyway. Sorry, I went on a little rant there. This is starting to become their Plan A. They're not going to be probably marketing Blue Beetle or Aquaman 2 as much, because they're probably done. They're done. They know those movies are going to fail. They know that they're not going to make a profit off of those movies. They're already $49 billion in debt. They're done. If anything, they should be marketing those movies heavily. Blue Beetle from that trailer looks awesome, yet we haven't gotten a trailer or anything since. We haven't really gotten any set photos either, besides, Jolo Maradueña in the Blue Beetle costume. But I think they are done filming now, unless James decided to come in and screw some things up even more and decided to do some reshoots, like he did with The Flash. Because The Flash originally had 3 endings. The Flash originally had it had 3 endings, but they went with the one with George Clooney. Why? Again, the nostalgia factor. They thought it was going to get people excited. Everyone all over social media started going ballistic, saying that the cameo was useless. He better not be the new DCU Batman, and all this. We don't need Nipples Batman as the Batman of the DCU. One of the original endings was that it was going to be Cavill, Godot, and Kaye, and I believe also Affleck, waiting outside the courthouse, waiting for Barry. Didn't get that at all. This proves that Warner Brothers Discovery, they actually used some of the clips from the original ending in the marketing for the movie, but it didn't make the final cut. That just proves that Warner Brothers Discovery were planning on continuing with the DCEU, but for whatever reason, they thought the DCU was going to make them a lot more money, and now The Flash is bombing at the box office. And now they're regretting announcing the DCU as early as they did, because now these movies aren't going to make a profit anymore. Which is really sad. I love Blue Beetle. I love Jason Momoa's Aquaman, but that movie seems to be a mess. James Wan came out a few weeks ago and said the movie's a mess, and that he doesn't even know what the final version will be that comes out in theaters because of how many times Gunn has come in and interfered with the movie. So, listen, Gunn has made some questionable decisions and has left us with so many potholes in this DCU. First of all, he's said that Blue Beetle is the first DCU character, but the movie Blue Beetle is not the first movie in the DCU. What type of bullcrap is that? You have Blue Beetle be the first movie in the new DCU. Why? So that the movie can make a profit. So that the studio can make some money back instead of lose some money. But instead, James decided to let the studio lose more money instead of make money. If you would have said that that would have been the first DCU project, that movie probably would have made it close to $1 billion. Probably not $1 billion, because Blue Beetle isn't really a household name. Obviously, I've known Blue Beetle for a while. He's a Latino superhero. He's awesome. He's great. Obviously he's being played by Jolo Maradona, who plays Miguel Diaz on Cobra Kai, if you didn't already know. So, yeah, they are going to be using Matt Reeves' Thebatman universe for a Plan B, which is now being considered to be used as a Plan A. Because we are going to be having two Batman at the same time. One with Batman Brave and the Bold, and one with the Batman Part 2. We already know that Robert Pattinson's Batman is nowhere near affiliated with James Gunn's DCU. He's already confirmed that. That's Matt Reeves' own separate thing. Kind of like the Snyderverse now with Snyder. Another consideration for the Plan B is having the Snyderverse continue. There are some talks behind the scenes of Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery licensing some properties over to Netflix. One of those rumored is, some Snyderverse, some Snyder-related projects. Man of Steel is rumored to be heading over there. Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, is rumored to be going over there. And David Ayer's cut of the Suicide Squad is being rumored to be going over there to Netflix. And if that continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, they could just hand the whole thing over to Snyder and be like, if you want to finish this, you can. Snyder already said at SnyderCon that he would be more than happy to finish the story with those characters, and obviously we'd all love him to do that. So yeah, that's another consideration that they're going over right now for Plan B. But knowing Warner Bros. Discovery, that's most likely a Plan C or D, considering how much they just try to get away from the DCEU, which makes no sense to me. Walter Hamada just messed up the whole thing. And, David Zaslav is obviously doing a bad job over at Warner Brothers Discovery, because, well, they're in debt. So, yeah. And supposedly, Zaslav has been invited to join the Academy. Why? Don't know why. That's kind of like a huge slap in the face to the industry. But yeah, listen. Guys, I'm going to leave a link down below to Aaron Fisher's channel. He doesn't go on a rant like I do when talking about this stuff. I mean, he kind of does. That's where I get most of my video ideas from, is him, because, you know, he reports the news, and I just report the news that's being reported. So, there's that. I'm going to leave a link down in the description, or a thing will pop up on here, and you guys can go click on that video and watch it. And, yeah. So, the Batman universe, potentially a plan B for Warner Brothers Discovery. I think, honestly, a lot of people would be interested in seeing the Batman universe, other than, instead of Gunn's DCU. Because he's made a lot of questionable decisions so far that he's been in charge in these past few months. One of them firing Henry Cavill, and then, keeping almost everything that he's worked on in the DCEU, keeping that for his DCU. Which is kind of selfish, in a way. He's like, oh, those are my babies. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna put them right here where they'll be safe. But, no, we needed a complete reboot. We didn't need a soft reboot. We needed a complete one. If you're gonna fire Henry Cavill Superman, you need a complete reboot, not a soft reboot. And honestly, I think Henry Cavill might have walked away from Gunn. I saw something on Twitter the other day. I'll have to go back and find it. He did say some things that, I don't know if it's true or not. I'll have to do some more research. But he did say that him and Gunn, this was on a podcast, that him and Gunn did have some differences over Superman. So I think that's the reason why he walked away. I don't think he was not cast, as Gunn continues and repeatedly keeps saying. Oh, and by the way, it's also being rumored that Gunn is avoiding Hall H because he does not want to be booed or heckled while he's on stage. Me personally, I wouldn't want to be Gunn right now. There's way too much pressure on his shoulders. There's a lot of eyes pointing at him. Mine, especially. So, again, he's made a lot of questionable decisions so far. So, yeah. I'll probably do a part 2 to this video if I find some more information on it. But yeah, it's pretty much been announced already that they're going to be investing in the Batman universe. Which to me is pretty stupid, because you're going to have 2 Batman fighting for their place in the box office. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to have Batman Breaking the Bold, which releases in 2025, and the Batman Part 2, which releases in 2025. And if that doesn't work, well, actually, no. If Creature Commandos and Superman Legacy isn't really appreciated well, which I don't even think we're going to be able to see those movies because of how much Warner Bros. Discovery are in debt. If those movies do not become well appreciated by the audience, I think we might see Gunn leave sooner than expected. Safran is already being rumored to leave next year. You guys can go check my video out on that. He's already being rumored to leave next year. He's looking to step down. And one of the reasons why Gunn did join DC Studios was because he was going to be working with Safran, one of his longtime friends. So, now that he's leaving, Gunn also might be leaving. So, Warner Bros. Discovery are in a big, big hole right now. I mean, I'm honestly expecting Warner Bros. Discovery to be sold by the end of this year, or next year. and we might have to start this whole thing back over again and just go on another roller coaster of emotions. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it right here. This was just me going on a rant. I'm sorry. This is exactly like my Flash review, which again, I'm also sorry for. I'll probably do another one. A bit more calm, but yeah. Anyway. Warner Bros. Discovery looking to make the Batman universe Part B, Plan B, which to me right now looks like it's going to be Plan A. Anyway, I will see you all in the next video. And if that fails, Warner Bros. Discovery should just take a step back from DC, because they're not doing a good job. I will see you all in the next video. Take care and peace.